Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
So, welcome back to Bhagavatam Bites. I'm very honored and blessed to be joined by my very dear friends. We're down in Canterbury, that holiest of holy places in the UK, in Britain. And we're joined by Davide and Ragaleka. Rake.
The Rockies.
The Rockies. They're the Rockies. The official Rockies. So, and we also have their daughter who's busy listening to some Vedic stories. And she's just behind the camera. She might be coming on camera later. Here she is. Please come in. Let's see. Let's see. Sanayana. So Bhagavatam Bites is fun for all ages. It's a family affair. So we're going to continue reading where we left off from the third canto, chapter 22, and the chapter is entitled
The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti.
Okay, and we are text number 20, yep. Okay, so we'll start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That was such beautiful harmony. Okay, so one of you like to start?
Yeah. The highest authority for me is the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom this wonderful creation emanates and in whom it sustains and this dissolution rests. He is the origin of all Prajapatis, the personalities meant to produce living entities in this world.
Maybe just quickly, probably for your benefit as well as the readers, to catch everyone up. So the conversation at the moment is between Kardama Muni and Swayambhuva Manu. So Kardama Muni has already been visited by Vishnu, and he's pleased by his austerities, and Kardama Muni says, I really want a wife. And he said, yeah, I knew that. I've already made an arrangement. And then he sends Swayambhuva Manu, who's come to offer his daughter to Kardama Muni. And Kardama Muni now is in the process of kind of accepting. And in that process, he's extolling the glories of the Lord. Like that. In the purport.
Kardama Muni was ordered by his father, Prajapati, to produce children. In the beginning of creation, the Prajapatis were meant to produce the large population which was to reside in the planets of the gigantic universe. But Kardama Muni said that although his father was Prajapati, who desired him to produce children, actually his origin was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, because Vishnu is the maintainer, and when everything is annihilated, it rests in him only.
That is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. For creation, maintenance and annihilation, there are the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, Shiva. But Brahma and Maheshwara are qualitative expansions of Vishnu. Vishnu is the central figure. Vishnu therefore takes charge of maintenance. No one can maintain the whole creation but he. There are innumerable entities, and they have innumerable demands. No one but Vishnu can fulfill the innumerable demands of all the innumerable living entities. Brahma is ordered to create, and Shiva is ordered to annihilate. The middle function, maintenance, is taken charge of by Vishnu. Kardama Muni knew very well, by his power in progressive spiritual life, that Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, was his worshipable deity. Whatever Vishnu desired was his duty, and nothing else. He was not prepared to beget a number of children. He would beget only one child, who would help the mission of Vishnu. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, whenever there is a discrepancy in the discharge of religious principles, the Lord descends on the surface of the earth to protect religious principles and to annihilate the miscreants.
Marrying a... Oh, sorry. It's gonna take over the whole thing.
No problem. Yeah, we can finish. Marrying and begetting a child is considered to liquidate one's debts to the family in which one is born. There are many debts which are imposed upon a child just after his birth. There are debts to the family in which one is born, debts to the demigods, debts to the pitas, debts to the rishis, etc. But if someone engages only in the service of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, who is actually worshipable, then, even without trying to liquidate other debts, one becomes free from all obligations. That's nice. Kardama Muni preferred to devote his life as a servant of the Lord in Paramahamsa knowledge, and to beget a child only for that purpose, not to beget numberless children to fill up the vacancies in the universe. Okay. Interesting. Any thoughts from that? Any reflections, questions, or?
I'm afraid I don't know what baguette means. I'm sorry. That would be useful for me to start with that. If you don't mind helping me, please.
Beget. It means to get.
Okay.
It's like
Just another word to have a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
To beget.
I thought it might be, but
It's not a baguette, like a French baguette. Yeah, okay, here it says beget means to father or a cause. Or it could be to bring a child into existence for the process of reproduction, or to cause or bring about. So I guess it can have a specific meaning around bringing children into the world, to beget a child.
and not just to fill up the vacancies in the universe.
Yeah, I really like that
Yeah.
Kardama Muni has that that desire, and that is not, it's not just for his own sense gratification, it's actually as a service to have children. That was really lovely.
Well, it's interesting, that point, I guess because we've discussed on it before, but it's an awkward dichotomy, because the Prajapatis are given the order to create progeny.
Yes, right.
And there's a pastime later that we'll come to where Daksha becomes very upset with Narada Muni, because Daksha's been ordered by Brahma to please create, populate the universe. And he does that, and he has like 1,000 sons, and then he sends them off to perform austerities, and Narada Muni says, "Oh, you guys look like good candidates for the brahmachari ashram."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so he takes them, and then,
Hold on a second.
Daksha's like, "Hey, this is my service you're interrupting." So he has another 1,000. It's 1,000 or 10,000. And then he sends them to do the same thing. And he says, "No, Narada Muni understands he messed up last time. He won't do it again." And he does the same thing again. And then, they get into an argument. And Daksha curses Narada because he's upset. Now, he didn't act properly. But then his argument is, yeah, but Narada Muni didn't act properly either. So there's always this debate between which is, the order is to create progeny, just like the 4 Kumaras, right?
Yes.
Lord Brahma said, "Now go forth and create progeny." He said, no. We're staying brahmachari.
5 years old.
We're staying exactly this age forever. So it's always this thing because it is a service also. But yeah, we can see here that Kardama is kind of like, yeah, I don't want to just have unlimited children. I just want to have one child who's the, who is like the Lord, or is actually like, where it said, yeah, he was not prepared to beget a number of children. He would beget only one child who would help the mission of Vishnu. I think previously Prabhupada refers to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and how Bhaktivedanta Thakur prayed for a ray of Vishnu to come, and he said, and then my spiritual master manifested, and he was that ray of Vishnu.
Wow.
Who came to say. It was really nice.
Yeah, lovely.
I'm curious about this part where
Yeah.
it goes, there are many debts which are imposed upon a child just after their birth. And there are debts to the debts to the family in which one is born, debt to the demigods, that to the pitas, that's to the rishis, and so on. And so, what does that mean? A child gets born in a family, and they automatically in debt with the universe.
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
So the mission
why is that?
The mission is for the child to then be given the tools to get out of that during that lifetime.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how it's looked at as debt, which for me it's an interesting term in this specific context.
Okay.
Where you now are in debt to the universe, so you have to repay it. It's a duty.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important point, the fact that it's a duty. It's not quite a choice, which we think we have.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
And so, in a way, you want to tell children when you raise them, you have a choice. You can choose. It's our duty to help you.
You owe Papa and Mama.
And that's interesting. I think as parents of young children, you don't see, that's not a dynamic that you see on a day. We serve them, we are having to, they don't.
But that's why they're in debt.
Right.
That's why they're in debt.
Yeah.
They're indebted. We would use that term though, right?
Yes.
We're
indebted.
you should feel indebted.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I'm indebted to my parents because they, cleaned my backside, fed me, clothed me, put me through school. They did everything.
Yeah.
And I guess the challenge is that, in the modern day especially, we don't really feel that indebtedness.
No.
That was your duty.
No,
you chose to have me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's all the blame. Instead of, and that's what we were talking about last night. It's like a lack of gratitude. And it really reeks of a lack of gratitude and just like self-centeredness and not respect or appreciation. But we then also have to look at ourselves, because of course you have kids and you're thinking now, you better feel indebted to me.
Tables have turned.
But now you got to look at your parents and say, I feel that for them? Do I feel that for them? Because, and we've been talking about this a lot recently, just the whole care for devotees type of thing is like, as devotees get older, how are we going to look after them?
Yeah.
And how do families look after each other? And of course, in many, I guess you could say, Indian families, there's still this remnants of looking after. Last weekend, I was with some devotees, and they still had 3 generations living in the same house. And they said, several years back, they would have had the 4th generation. So they had the great-grandparents, the grandparents, the parents, and then their kids. And so it's like, and their plan is that will continue until they pass on. And then, but we entered into the conversation with the parents, and the kids were there who are now in their 20s. So are you going to look after Mom and Dad in the same way that they've been looking after? And they were kind of like, where does this system break down? But that's the idea, that we should feel that. Not that it's like, I don't want to be bothered. And I don't, or, I guess that's one thing. But then this verse comes up, or that paragraph comes up to the point, but if one engages in devotional service to the Lord, then one's free, has liquidated that debt. So then what does that mean? Because that can be used that, I'm doing bhakti, so I don't need to look after anyone. I don't know the universe, anything. I just do my bhakti, and I don't have to care externally about anyone or fulfill it.
But if you're doing bhakti, I suppose as a byproduct of my bhakti, you will
that the
want
heart
to,
would naturally want to do those things. Even knowing I don't owe any debt, but I feel like that. Yeah, I think it's very powerful.
I find it incredible because obviously I'm. As we shown, we have these little children, and I don't have a choice as a parent. I have to put them on a certain.
Well, you do.
Path.
Because there are lots of people who aren't as good a parent as probably you are.
No, I understand. But if someone is, when this is what my parents taught me, is it's duty, being dutiful.
Yeah.
And I think so many people get that from their parents. Maybe they don't quite get, right and wrong. Which is still, so that's a tough one. Sometimes you do get from your parents dutifulness, and I think if I look at this and I read it and I go, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's black and white. It's not. I don't quite have a choice. So it kind of puts you a bit on the spot.
Well, this is also why, if you look at it, it says we're indebted to the family we're born in, and debt to the demigods. So why is that? The sun is shining now, the rain is falling, the moon is there to give taste in the vegetables. All the wind is there to purify and clean. Everything's being arranged by the devatas. We're indebted to them. Air is being produced so that I can breathe. So we're indebted to the Pitas, which is the forefathers, right? So we're indebted to our previous families, the generations, and to the rishis. Why to the rishis? Because they're the teachers.
Yeah, and I think modern society would say you take from nature, you take a carrot, you need to do something back to nature. You need to go back to nature. That's a modern way of looking at it. But I guess it goes a little bit further than that, isn't it? It's not just taking a carrot and planting a carrot.
Yeah, not exactly, but I would say if somebody has that mentality, at least they're moving in the right direction.
They're conscious of it.
Yeah. Anything else? Maybe we read one more verse. Okay. Text 21. I think I read last, so back to you.
Sri Maitreya said, "O great warrior Vidura, the sage Kardama said this much only, and then became silent, thinking of his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus on his navel. As he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devahuti, who began to meditate upon the great sage."
So at this point, of course, we also have to remember now Maitreya Muni is speaking, because this story is being narrated by Maitreya Muni to Vidura. And that conversation is being conveyed by Shaunaka Rishi to to Sutta Goswami, to Shaunaka Rishi and the sages in Naimisharanya, and he's telling them about what he heard from Shukadev Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So it's like, oh God. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the trickiest things with the Bhagavatam, isn't it? Holding on to those threads.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting. If you try to do that, it if you're like, okay, who's speaking? You just have to keep asking yourself, okay, who's talking to who here? And But
especially after you've read a long purport, and then you come back to a verse.
You're like, where are we?
I always find it helpful just to go back to the couple of verses and just reread those before I move on.
You got to keep in sync.
Yeah.
But this is nice because we see here that Devahuti has come with her father and mother, so she's already there. Swayambhuva is offering her to Kardama Muni, and she's already been fixated on him because she heard about him from Narada Muni, who went there and was talking to Swayambhuva Manu and saying, oh, there's this great sage Kardama, and she was like, oh, and he was describing. So she had, become fixated on him. So now he's spoken, and now he's just, taking it in. He's accepted her, but he's taking it in, and she's like, oh, Kardama. My Kardama. Anyway, let's see what the purport has to say. Maybe you can read the purport.
It appears that Kardama Muni was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, because as soon as he became silent, he at once began to think of Lord Vishnu. That is the way of Krishna consciousness. Pure devotees are so absorbed in thought of Krishna that they have no other engagement. Although they may seem to think or act otherwise, they are always thinking of Krishna. The smile of such a Krishna-conscious person is so attractive that simply by smiling, he wins so many admirers, disciples, and followers.
You're all smiling.
I think that's what a lot of what devotees would say about Prabhupada.
Mm-hmm.
It was that just. I remember we were who did we take in the car with us to that program? Anyway, it was a Prabhupada disciple. My memory is terrible. Forgive me, but I remember asking them like, what was it? What was it about him?
Yeah.
And they were just saying it was his smile. It was like his whole countenance just captured you, and you were just drawn in. I was like, wow. That's just so powerful, because you think about those early devotees and they gave up everything and just devoted their whole life, crossing continents and just, like, I think about myself doing that now. It just seems so far out of my reach that I would possibly be able to do that, and yet it was Prabhupada that was the catalyst of that. It was the reason they just fell in love and they would do anything for him. And that power is just extraordinary. It just makes you wonder what it must have been like to have been in his presence.
Well, we are, in a way.
Yeah, it's
No,
true.
that's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice, yeah.
But I find this quite scary.
Good.
And I'll be honest, I don't know whether this is. I'm clearly not Krishna conscious. It's like, well, you can see from my smile anyway. But no, it says, Krishna conscious person is so attracted that simply by smiling and wins so many admirers, and that wants to. Isn't that trying? I don't know how to phrase this. It's gonna sound so wrong. How is it? It makes me almost want to become Krishna conscious so that I get admirers and I get this, I get disciples and I get followers. Okay. Which is the wrong mentality. Mm-hmm. But I wonder whether could that be a good little fishing. No, I don't know. I don't know. This I'm going too far with it. But I am. There's part of me that went, oh yeah, I can be Krishna conscious. But the reality is that as soon as you plant that seed and start watering it, admires disciples and followers. Yeah, I think you stop caring so quickly about that. I mean, at least.
Yeah, it's a good point actually, and I think the thing is that's not really the mentality of a Krishna conscious person. It's kind of a byproduct, because Krishna is all attractive. So when a devotee is inspired by Krishna, naturally they're also attractive. But like Prabhupada would say, if someone, if Guru says, Guru is the transparent via medium for God, so he should be treated as good as God. Mm-hmm. But as soon as the Guru stops directing you to God and starts directing you to himself, he's no longer as good as God, he is dog. Yeah. So then it means that once that mentality creeps in, we're not actually Krishna conscious anymore. We become me conscious, I, me, and my conscious.
And also I think that they will care about winning admirers and disciples and followers in so much that they are bringing people to Krishna. Mm-hmm. That's what that would be the intention, rather than it's not for me. It's like I want this in order to bring them to
I guess
Krishna.
what I missed to say is that I think that would be my mentality before I came in contact with so much knowledge. Mm-hmm, and then as soon as I read this now, I go, I have no interest in having admirers, disciples, or followers. I wish I could change someone's life by bringing them to this. Mm. But that does not mean that I want admirers, disciples, or followers. Yeah. And that very much rings true for me right now. Then being Krishna conscious, I guess, and constantly being, as soon as you go silent, your mind goes straight to Vishnu.
Is that working for you?
Yeah, it's going really well. I rarely am on silence. That's the problem. There's always noise around here. I blame it on the outside world.
Yeah, what is that verse? Nadanamna janamna sundarim kavitamba jagadishikamaye from Shikshastakam. You know that verse? Mm. I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service. Mama Janami Janami Ishwari, birth after birth. You know, so that's kind of that's the mood that we should have. We don't want, they may come, but then that's just a byproduct, and we see it as a service. So also same sort of thing. But yeah, it's an interesting point, and of course you may see even within Krishna consciousness, but definitely we can see that there are persons who do this, who use God to generate and create a following, but they keep themselves in the center, but God is like a good product to sell themselves on. So like that. Yeah, very powerful. Anything else?
I think I just want to say one more thing about it. I think it's that smile.
Oh yeah.
Is the you can't analyze it. You can't really break it down truly and go, is that specific angle of the lip, and that you can't explain it. It's beyond. It's beyond, and you can see the purity through it.
You mean Prabhupada's smile, or a smile in general?
Smile of a Krishna conscious devotee person, yeah.
And that's why it's really, you can't imitate it. I know as an actress, as an actor, it's one of the things that if we come to try and put a drama on, and you try and portray a sage or a pure devotee, it's nigh on impossible. You can't, to try and really truly get to that portrayal of that, and because it's just it's so far here.
So beyond
you can't. It's like trying to portray someone who's having a spiritual awakening. It's like it's so intangible that it's beyond our human experience. I mean, it's what we
it is and it isn't.
But it is and it is. It's like, so acting is very much about looking at the human condition and what the human emotions are and what we go through. But that is just something. It's literally otherworldly. And how do you get to that? You can't. Really. Apart from it being very genuine. It just is genuinely there.
Very nice. Yeah, you mentioned Prabhupada's smile, and there's a word, I think it was on the following Srila Prabhupada videos, by Yadavar Prabhu.
Yeah.
I think it's the lady, what is her name? Mrs. Agarwal in Pennsylvania. And she describes, his smile was oceanic. I think she says like that.
Yeah.
It's just like as big as the ocean, It's like when he smiled, it was like gazing into the ocean,
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that Prabhupada as well. Okay, wow. We could just keep going.
I could go, but
So, anyway,
we wouldn't be Bhagavatam Bites anymore.
Bhagavatam full course meal. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you, Davide, Ragaleka Mataji. Really nice to be with you, and I've just been having such a wonderful experience. If any of you are, and I know some of you are, in the Canterbury area, then there's a really wonderful and beautiful community of devotees. So right in Canterbury, do you know the place, the address? I know the Big Drum. We were there last night.
It's on Rose Lane.
Rose Lane. It's a nice little gathering place of the devotees. And reach out, get in touch, get connected, and join into the community. And you can all come and join. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.